Hello, my friends. Oh my God, right? All this stuff going on over the Middle East right now between Israel and Hamas. Oof. So I hear over and over, and I've been hearing my entire life just how complicated the situation, how complicated the issue is over there. And I will grant you, it is extremely complicated and an extremely deep-seated issue that goes back centuries to literally biblical times, and in part is fueled because of those biblical times and the belief of faith of people of various sides. And yet, and yet, dude, I'm gonna be blunt and honest with you. You know, people go, "Well, you're a liberal." Fuck you. I'm a liberal, but I'm what I consider a conservative liberal. There's a lot of conservative views and values that I understand fully and I champion. And there are a lot of them I don't really get and I'm not overly thrilled with, but I also understand sometimes there's certain things are necessary. And sometimes too much is too good too. So you don't want to give an open check to people that don't have no limits either. So there's such a thing as being too progressive for what we're capable of dealing with. Anyhow, so the extremely complicated situation over there made extremely simple. It's not rocket science. Once again, I am hardly a Rhodes Scholar or an educated. I mean, I don't consider myself a really educated man. I'm just a well-read individual who tries to have a broad look and view of the world around me, so I can try to make some kind of sense of some of the badness that goes on. So that said, simple. Give these fuck asses the goddamn country that they want. If you look at geographically speaking, if you look at how Gaza is located, it's up against the damn Mediterranean Sea. It butts up against the Sinai Peninsula, which is controlled by and operated by the Egyptians. So it's not like you couldn't just grant the Gaza Strip to the Palestinians as Palestine and have it recognized by the Israelis and recognized by the United States as their turf, and then invite the rest of them from the West Bank and the Golan Heights to truck on over here and join up with them, with the understanding that they're going to be a country and they're going to comport themselves like a country. So if the Palestinian military decides to make a strike against anybody, then the rest of the world can come down on them with both knees, which would be inevitable anyway. But it's not that simple. Bullshit! It's exactly that simple. It is. How do you think? How did Israel become Israel in the first place? Very end of World War II, we've got tens of millions of dead Jews and millions of displaced Jews, homeless Jews, Jews coming out of concentration camps and work camps and worse. And they washed their hands of Europe. They didn't want nothing to do with it. Most certainly didn't want to go back to the Germany that ostracized them and tried to murder them in the first damn place and pretend like it's okay and everything's under the water. No, they entitled to setting up a country somewhere else. And unfortunately, it fell into the lap of the British, and the British were kind of ill prepared for it. And the British were also dealing with a lot of fallout themselves. With the conclusion of World War II, the Great British Empire was starting to diminish and starting to crumble. A lot of the countries that were members of the Commonwealth were given more and more latitude to not be members of the Commonwealth, and so there was a lot of issues. Plus, they had a huge reconstruction problem to deal with at home too. We don't talk a lot about what was Britain like, what was London and Britain like in the 1950s. They were booming just like America was, but there was a couple of years there right after in the late 40s. 46 through to 49, where they were trying to just get the lights back on and get the schools up and running and get the mail going on time, just getting things back to normal as much as they could, and rebuilding so much damage and destruction. So we know that there was a lot of problems, lots of complications. But at the end of the day, they said, "Look, here's y'all came from the Bible says y'all came from here, Judah, the Jews. Here you go." And the people living there at the time in the 1946 said, "What? Oh, you can't come over here and take my property. What do you mean? We don't have eminent domain in here. There. What do you mean that there's millions of Jews moving in? Oh, we don't like it. So at the end of the day, they were forced. The Jews were willingly forced into this situation, and the United Nations at the time, the fledgling United Nations at the time, basically rubber stamped it. So it set the situation. Meanwhile, all these Arab ran states around Israel absolutely was livid and hated it. And they hated it for a number of reasons. One, they were never asked to, they were never, advised. They were never asked to participate in this situation. I have to question, was that particular place a good location? Really? Because considering how many locations there were around the world that were kind of up for grabs, I'm not saying it would have been great. They could have picked any number of locations in Africa and set up an Israel state in Africa, but then they would have had to deal with displacing the local Africans who lived in the region of the area that they decided to, which part of the British Empire that they wanted to donate to the cause. So there was never going to be a good result. So this gets us to the other side of the problem with the Hamas. So the complications on the Hamas. It's not complicated. It's very simple. The Hamas wants to kill the damn Jews. Flat out. It's what they do. It's what they say. That's their entire code and their entire creed and their entire existence. They don't give rat's fart about America, launching some jihad against the West or any of this other crap. They just want to kill Israelis. They want the Israelis out of Gaza. They want the Israelis out of Israel. They want the Israelis dead. Dead as a doorknob. That's their sole reason for existing. Not to champion the plight of the Palestinian people or to stand up for the oppressed Palestinian people. They would get a little more sympathy from people if that was the case, but that's not the case. Their whole existence is to murder Jews, is to kill the Jews, is to kill the Israelis, that's it. And it's even in their own setup, because if you go have to look at the rest of the Palestinian government, quote Palestinian government, to understand that there's actually several factions involved here, and they're not all on the same damn page. A lot of times they will tend to go in the direction of the others, but at the end of the day, they have their own agendas and their own purposes. In the case of Hamas, it's one single purpose. So, it's one of those, how do you do this? I ain't trying to justify jack, right? But let's take a look at the humanitarian situation. Here's the problem. I could do several videos on this because I can have both pros and cons. And like I said, I'm a liberal and a progressive and a conservative at the same time. I understand the desire for a wall. I understand why there's a desire by many people in America to have a southern wall across South America, between Mexico and America. I get it. This is an illusion of security and safety that's repeatedly proven that is an illusion. It's simply that, an illusion. Yes, you can slow down things. Yes, you can coordinate. You can focus stuff to the gates and things like this and have a little better control. But at the end of the day, when the Hamas decided they were done, what did they do? They went through the fence. They tore the fence down. They went under the fence. They went over the fence. They went through the fence. The fence didn't work. Make it worse. Make it worse. And this is a parallel to what the Trump's fence for America. The American fence that we should have on the Mexican border would be quite similar to the Israeli fence for Gaza. So you would have a lot of security cameras, a lot of sensors, a lot of remote devices, a lot of technicians, a handful of technicians sitting in an office somewhere monitoring all that crap. Assuming that you got all those technicians sitting somewhere actually monitoring that crap. Because what apparently happened was the Israelis had a bunch of people sitting around somewhere supposed to be monitoring all that electronics crap, and guess what? They fell asleep. They literally didn't see jack. How? How the fuck did they not see bulldozers approaching the damn fences? They should have had at least some knowledge. They wouldn't have been able to stop it from happening. No, but they would have had, or did they know? Different kind of video. I'm looking at possibly doing one for that one because I've got opinions on that. So Hamas, my friends, you nasty fucks, you're gonna die. Straight up, man, you're gonna die, and you got it coming. That's that conservative part of me. Yeah, there's this humanitarian problem in this Gaza. You jam a couple million people, and from everything I'm hearing, half the population of Gaza is under 20. Well, that's a great thing to do. Let's just marginalize and compartmentalize and torment these fuckers because you don't want them in. The Israelis are basically tormenting these people. They're holding them. They're holding them as a hostage. They utilize a few of them for labor. They give them work permits, but they don't give nearly enough work permits. So half the population has destitute and has no work at all, and half of the population's under the age of 20 and very susceptible to being corrupted and recruited into all kinds of organizations that are give them an opportunity to make a living and have a purpose and to feel like they actually have some control over their damn life. Yeah, I can be empathetic to that. I can be sympathetic to that. I can be very sympathetic and empathetic to the plight of the average Palestinians at the hands of the damn Israelis. The Israelis are to blame for as much of this as the Palestinians when it comes to this shit. Right? I said the same fucking thing about Afghanistan. 20 goddamn years in Afghanistan and we didn't achieve shit. I said my first belief was, if we're going to go there and stay there, then we just need to annex the fucking thing and call it a territory. Welcome to the American territory of Afghanistan. Now we've got some legal justification for having it, which also gives us a little bit more muscle in the diplomatic world, because now it's an American territory and not something just being occupied by Americans. Right? Of course, well, that's not going to work. My other argument was, you know what you need to do? What's Afghanistan pretty much only famous, the only real fame it has other than its poppy fields and its terrorists, is the fact it is actually, I don't want to say a crossroads, but it is an area that's crisscrossed numerous trade routes over the millennium. So you could literally build an infrastructure there. You could build a highway system that rivals anything in the Western world, and connect all the major border states, all the major countries around with each other via this network. Meanwhile, you bring in the McDonald's and the Walmarts and the Dollar Generals, and you just flood the fucking country with them. And you bring in the work of the shit that we don't want to work here. We can outsource to them, right? Hence, that's the value of them having an empire with territory. Yeah, instead of outsourcing to China, we can outsource to our territories and let them benefit from it. And so we set up a bunch of stuff over there and get these people to work in, and we get them, and then we just give them free internet and we give them free cable. Give everybody a TV and a solar panel and a couch, because that's how you win. You just turn them into American couch potatoes in a generation, and none of them, they're not going to be interested in going on a jihad. They don't give up their damn pickups and their microwaves and their air-conditioned houses and shit like that. I'm just saying the possibilities are endless. So anyway, you've got this entire region that's just terribly shagged, and it just brings this group, this psychotic terrorist group. And I use the term loosely because I don't even think they qualify as a terrorist group. Yeah, they conduct terrorists. They just psychotic mass murdering crazy people, right, with guns. Hey, America, this kind of shit, this Hamas kind of crap. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, I don't usually agree with anything she says, but she's right on this. We may not get missiles raining down from Mexico. That ain't ever going to happen. But this kind of organization, those Proud Boys, those Oath Keepers, not very far away from being what Hamas is. They just lack the drive, the emotional the emotional buy-in, and the weather on. Thank God. Once again, all the McDonald's and the couch potato crap that I just said about Afghanistan holds true. There's a good reason why most Americans aren't motivated to literally riot in the streets. That's a small, very tiny percentage of Americans do that stuff because we're too much of a couch potato and we're watching them from the safety of our home, right? Meanwhile, the Palestinians have lived in squalor and worse for decades now. And whose fault is that? Well, yes, it's their fault. They failed to grab themselves by their bootstraps. Hey, Republicans, y'all like that bootstrap crap, meme? What do you do when you ain't got bootstraps? Most of them wearing sandals and shit over there. Or no shoes at all. The weather's pretty nice there year round. They don't have to worry about freezing their toes off in the wintertime. So they ain't got a whole slew of boots running around there, let alone with straps on them. And I've been at the grocery store. I went out to Menards here Friday, and I was glancing at shelves, and they got work boots and stuff. You know how many work boots don't have bootstraps anymore? Bootstraps actually a very rare thing. Yeah, so you're gonna pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Oh, you got a pair of boots with bootstraps? Yeah, I'm being facetious there. Look the word up, right? Being a smartass. Look the word up. So you create an environment that's horrific. You give them no means to improve it. They get no encouragement to do it. They got no incentive to do it. And at the end of the day, the Israeli leadership really don't want them to do it. The Israelis do not really want the Palestinians as a political entity in any way, form or other. Because the other big movement is this single state. Everybody's a member of the same state. So by all rights, the Palestinians and the Israelis should all be members of the same country. And should be treated equal and should embrace each other with loving arms because, that's what theology pushes. You ever notice that most religions have a big thing about, brotherly love and showing, doing right by your fellow man and all this other crap in the same breath? The next breath, they're willing to go on a jihad and murder you. And hey, Christians, we know better. We ain't no better than any of these Arab terrorist organizations. We ain't any better. You got these ass clowns marching around out there waving Trump flags with Jesus on there with a Trump MAGA hat on it. Would Jesus really do this stuff? Would he? Would Muhammad condone any of this shit, Hamas? Would they? Does the Quran condone butchering children? Period. Do you? So, you know what? Y'all got it coming. And I got no sympathy for that. I got no empathy for it. Y'all asked for it. And these fellas are coming for you. And they mean it. And I don't know about this Netanyahu. I've never cared much about him. From what I learned, the more I've read about him recently, the less I like him. But I never really paid all that much attention to him because he's not an American politician. He doesn't directly and indirectly relate to anything we have to deal with here, right? But I understand he's a piece of work. He's a piece of shit, and a lot of people don't like him. And potentially, this could be his swan song. This might be the last thing he does as the leader of Israel. That said, if I had to put myself in that man's shoes, and these ass clowns did this shit while I was in charge, after 70 years of nonstop terrorist bombings and kidnappings and murders and rapes and missiles and rockets and all kinds of stupid bullshit that you've been doing for 70 fucking years and you haven't achieved nothing, you're no better off than you were 70 years ago when your grandfather started this bullshit Hamas crap movement to get rid of the Israelis and the Palestinians. Man, how is these people your friends? How are these people helping you in any way? All they're doing is using you. They're using you literally now as meat bags. You're meat shields for them right now. But they stole every opportunity you had, Palestine. Hamas stole every future opportunity you had. Any chance of things getting better were put to a quick death by Hamas, weren't they? That's true too. The facts that are flowing upwards from the shitholes are saying that, and I tend to believe them. So if I was Netanyahu, I would sit there and go back and, yeah, yeah, we're Jews and we damn well know what the Holocaust is. We remember it. It's ingrained into us. And we're done being murdered. The only way murderers understand that is to murder them. So, Palestinians, get the fuck out of the way. They gave you some. They still giving you time to get the hell out of town. The problem is for every one of these, for every 10 citizens, civilian Palestinians that flee for their lives, there's one Hamas fuckass is slipping away with them. And how do you tell the difference at the end of the day when everybody looks the same? That's the problem with fighting insurgencies. That's the problem with fighting terrorist groups, is because they don't have grand armies. They don't have facilities. They don't have bases that you can really wreck and destroy and really cripple them. No, you have to root them out from their the rat holes that they hide in. So one way of doing that is to systematically go block to block, building to building, basement to basement, and shoot every fucking thing that moves. I'm dead serious about that. That's uber conservative mindset of mine. You fucking killed our people. We tried over and over and over again to come to the peace table with you. There's no peace. Y'all have a message, and I've learned it. I've heard you, Hamas, and I understand. Your only existence is to kill Jews. So we have nothing left to talk about. And that would be that. And I would tell all my senior officers to do what you must to harden your troops, harden them to the reality of it's us or them at this point, and we're done with this. And if you got to kill some Palestinians in the process, so be it. So if they got to put me up at the end of the, if Netanyahu at the end of the day has to get put up as a mass murderer and rivals Hitler for his evil whatever, in the name of saving the Israeli people from Hamas, as long as Hamas is decimated, and so be it. Put me up on the block, but I'll go to my grave or my jail cell knowing that Hamas is dead. Now, the downside of that kind of philosophy, the very side of philosophy that the Israelis are maybe pursuing at this moment, it's a vicious cycle that's been proven over and over and over again. There's so many victims and innocent people, and of those innocent people, how many of those people are going to be absolutely insane with fury and want revenge? Because a lot of these terrorists are really just out for revenge. It's not about some high-minded theological bullshit. Oh, we're warriors of God. There's a few of them that believe that, but a lot of them are just doing it for for revenge. They were wronged, and they can't deal with it. So their way of dealing with it is to give back what was given to them. And this is a vicious cycle that goes on worldwide, year after year, decade after decade, century after century, on and on and on. And I don't see how it's ever going to come to an end. I'm just saying, I just don't see how that shit going to come to an end. So it's going to get ugly over there in a hurry. Now the next question, of course, is once again, but in multiple videos here, is Iran involved? Are the Iranians truly involved in this? Did they know it was in the works? Did they support them? Are they actually foolhardy enough to, attack Israel to support Hamas? Hezbollah is their puppet, and it's a pretty well established fact that Hezbollah would not exist if it wasn't for the Russians and the Iranians. So they're the Russian-Iranian proxy for the Middle East. Is Hezbollah right now, and the puppet government of Lebanon, which Lebanon's a country that there's another shithole that could have been, but it isn't, because of this theocratic hatred that rots the brains and souls of so many people that live in those areas, right, on both sides of the damn borders. It doesn't matter. It's a common problem for all sides. So Hamas, you got everything coming to you, and I have absolutely no qualms about looking at the Israeli military and say, fucking kill them, man. Kill them motherfuckers. That's the only way they. That's the only thing they understand is murder. So kill them. Go murder them. You know, just go stamp pay. You know, you want to be a real, real asinine. You should go in and say, okay, for every one of our civilians you killed, we're killing 10 of yours. Because that's how this is going to work. Who's going to run out of civilians first? Because this is how y'all, you want to fight a terrorist organization who's mostly attacking your civilians. Then you attack the civilians that are supporting the terrorists. Make it so that they're so damn terrified to support the damn terrorists that they'll rather murder the terrorists in their sleep than to agree to it. And is that a harsh, horrible, terrible thing to think and say? Fuck yeah, it is. Yeah, the world's a horrible fucking place because human beings are terrible people and we constantly screw each other over. It's just like this goddamn country. We, the American people, live in the richest fucking country in the world. So why so many Americans are fucking poor? Why is that? The richest country in the world. The richest for who? I'm just saying. You know, yeah, the problem is really fucking simple. Give the Palestinians their own chunk of property. Tell them that that's theirs. Recognize it's theirs, and make it clear to them. Any kind of adventurism, a terrorist shit, we're coming for your fucking asses. And if you let terrorists hide out in your neck of the woods, wash your hands and pretend like you don't know, we're coming for your asses. You better be willing to point the doors at where these people are hiding at when our people come. Because we're coming. That was my philosophy for Iraq when we got wrangled into sticking it into the Iraq mess for as long as we did. And the same with Afghanistan. We got over there and then we hung around forever because, you know, that's what certain elements of the United States government and military industrial complex wanted. They wanted that sweet, sweet honeypot to just throw tax dollar monies away into the pockets of the uber wealthy industrial complex. And I wonder how much PAC money and political ad money space those fine folks spend every year to influence our politics. Anyway, till next time, good luck.